What's up again, everybody? Today we're going to do something a little bit fun, a little bit crazy, probably not something I would generally advise, but I like the idea of it, so I want to try it. Today we're going to try to make a mid-range deck in Blitz. This is not something you generally see in Blitz. Mid-range is really kind of unheard of in Blitz because Blitz is such a fast format that you kind of have to be hyper-focused in one specific area for your deck to really function and to get some teeth to it. So you don't see mid-range decks very often, but I think there's something we can at least attempt, and maybe we just learn something along the way. And so what I'm thinking is I want to build a mid-range Viserai deck. I think this is something that legit could exist and could function fairly well, and try to make it work in Blitz where things are more focused and where things are a little bit less pivoty because you can't sideboard and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be a fun thought experiment, and I'm looking forward to diving into it. Before we do, though, I have to turn these things off so that you can have maximum viewing capacity, and in order to do that I have to say goodbye to my wonderful patrons. By the way, I just have to stop and say this. The people that support via Patreon, like, you don't understand how much that means to me. Those people up there, the names that are scrolling, if you support this channel via Patreon, if you support me via Patreon, that is an incredibly humbling and touching thing, and I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and I have something coming for you. Once all the mail that I receive comes in, I am then going to give it back to you, and I'm looking forward to seeing if you enjoy that. I've got some stuff for the card tier patrons, like the Cabal Plus and the Court tier patrons coming your way in the mail. It's like we normally do, but we got a little extra stuff in there. Hopefully I can get all my mail in so I can get this out to you as soon as possible. But I wanted to do this special for December, so I got something in the mail that I'm waiting on, and then you're gonna get it as well. And also, if you want to smash the like button and the subscribe button, I had to do it. I had to say it. They always say to smash the thing, and so I figured I'd do it. Okay, enough flashing screen. Let's hit Viserai. Let's create a Blitz deck, a mid-range Blitz deck. Okay, the way that I'm thinking is probably the easiest to tackle this is to look at the matchups within just the top tier meta of Blitz. And what do we see? We see Ira, and Viserai was actually very well favored, in my opinion, against Ira when he played the OTK rune chant strategy. And so if you want to beat Ira, and technically I think Dorinthia as well, that it had a solid matchup. The OTK strategy against Dorinthia was pretty solid overall. You felt okay. There were some kind of giant blowout turns that Dory could do against you, but you did in previous iterations of this deck have a lot of defense reactions and other stuff that you can kind of react with from Arsenal. If we build the deck now, it may change, but those two matchups felt good. The matchup that was unwinnable was Kano. Kano was literally unwinnable. It was horrible because you didn't, as an OTK, you didn't actually play attacks. You tried to build up rune chants, and so it wasn't a mid-range deck. It was just OTK. So that was the bad matchup. So in this scenario, building a mid-range Viserai deck, we're trying to find a middle ground between those two matchups where we don't lose too much of our value against, like the bigger threats, things like Dory and Ira, but you also have some amount of game versus Kano, because before we had 0 game. So if we want to, I guess the best way to start would be starting with one of those two packages. So if we wanted to play OTK rune chant, the old school way to do that would be, obviously we would always get Mordred Tide. So we would jam 2 of those Mordred Tides in there. We would always get the Read the Runes. And some people would do like 2, 2, and 2, and you could play 2. Let's do it for now, and we may cut the blues. The blues only create you 1 rune chant, but it does get you a rune chant off of Viserai's effect as well. But these may be cut for some space, because again, we only have 40 cards to play with no sideboard whatsoever. There were some other additions to the overall rune chant package. And let me get the thing to finally show up. Oh, we always run Become the Arknight no matter what. This card's insanely good for pulling out combos. We'll come back to these Malvrian Skies when we look at the other side of things. Sometimes I would run the Oath of the Arknight Blues, just because I wanted the block 3 and the off chance that I play it, it creates me a rune chant, which is not bad. So we'll put 2 of those in there. The Rune Blood Barrier is the interesting one. This one I've started to really, I don't know, it's okay, it's pretty good. Let's put 1 in for now, and then Sonata is where this now kind of resides. Before, when I was playing OTK Rune Chant in like Skirmish Season 2, Sonata didn't exist. It was right before Monarch came out, and Sonata came out with Monarch, and it really changed the way you play OTK Rune Chant, because now it's not necessarily a Rune Chant based win condition. Now you can kind of win off of physical damage as well. So we're still going to include these. These are still really good cards to play, and it does allow us to pivot this deck now, which means we can kind of have some game against Kano, and that's important. Let's look through here. I'm not going to include the Tome of the Arc Knights. I'm not going to include Captain's Call because this is not Briar. I'm not going to include... I may include 1 Chains, but not right now. I don't think so. You know what? I'll put it in there, and then I can delete it later. That's what we'll do. I don't know why we see Potions, and I guess it's considering a non-attack, but whatever. Gorganian Tome we'll throw in there for now. I actually did run Gorganian Tome in my original OTK Rune Chant list. Don't care about any of these. Plunder runs, it's worth considering, but we're not going to be doing a ton of attacking one way or the other. Whisper of the Oracle will include 2 of those. The blues really only will play it for the opt, but really what we're doing is we're playing Whisper of the Oracle with Go Again, and then a non-attack or an attack Rune Blade card so that we can generate stuff off of Viserai. So this puts us at 19 non-attacks, and that's pretty decent overall. Looking at more, I don't think there's really any other non-attacks, period, end of story. And none of these that really stuck out to me that strike me as things we would want to really include. I've always wanted Blood Spill to be something interesting. Oh, Mauvrion, that's what we should talk about. So Mauvrion Skies is sort of the linchpin for the other half of the possibility of a deck like this, which is the actual attacking deck, the actual like I'm going to attack you side of things, and Mauvrion allows us to do that. So some people may consider running the red. I think there's interesting stuff to be had about arguing about whether or not you run the red or not. All of them supply Go Again, which is the reason you play it, and it's a Rune Blade action that has Go Again, but the red allows you to create 3 Rune Chant tokens if you hit. We're not really caring about if we hit, we're caring about splitting damage types and making it annoying. So we may not run the reds. In fact, I'm just going to cut the reds. The blues and the yellows, we can pitch them if we need to pay for attacks, and we can also just play them out to generate stuff or to just give Go Again to something. So I will put those in there, and that does push our number of non-attacks higher than I'd like it to be. So we may do some cutting later. Yeah. I like Rattlebones as well for the other half of the deck. Let's craft the other half of the deck, then we'll come back to that. So, attacks. If we want to have game against Kano, we have to put some amount of pressure onto Kano. Just creating rune chants and sitting around and waiting for him to burn us out is not going to work. So creating some amount of pressure by attacking is fantastic. And Amplify the Arc Knight for 3, attacking for 6 seems like a bad cost, but it gets cheaper by gaining rune chants, and so this is oftentimes like a 1 for 3, or maybe if you're lucky, a 0 for 3. If you're building up a lot of rune chants, then you drop this down. A 0 for 6, why did I say that? You drop this down, it attacks for 6, and it costs nothing because you've created at least 3 rune chants. So super solid card. If we just jam this down in there, I would play the reds, and I even consider the blues just because it pitches, it blocks 3, and it attacks 4. I'm going to put those in there. I think the blues are interesting as well. You could argue the yellows as well, but I don't think you need all 6 of these copies. I'm going to group these by type. And I wish I could get rid of the hero and the other stuff, but I won't. I can't. Looking at your pitch costs matters as well as we go through this, because we do want a good fair amount of blues and some big powerful red attacks. If we're playing mid-range, Arc Knight Ascendancy doesn't really have a ton of utility here, because if we're not creating like 6 rune chants, then we have to pay for this. And if we have to pay for this, then, you know, we're paying like a blue card from hand. I guess it could be something spicy. We're not really trying to do that old school Viserai thing where you played like Slogism into Arknight Ascendancy or like Arknight plus Pummel. We're not going to include Pummels in this. So this one's like on the borderline. We can consider it, but I may not put it in for right now. Man, I've always wanted Drawn to the Dark Dimension to work. I've always wanted that to work. Dread Triptych, though, does work. That's a really spicy one. Dread Triptych now, because we can do some fun stuff with the boots we'll include later. Meet and Greet, I think no matter what Rune Blade, you're going to play Meet and Greet. I think one of these is probably good because it can pop Phantasms. I know it feels weird, but you do have to consider that matchup as well, the matchup of Prism, even though Prism isn't very prevalent in Blitz. If there is a Prism, you do have some game against it by holding onto this, plus some of the other things we have. Rune Flash, really good. It costs 3, but it has 4 with Go Again, and this doesn't necessarily cost 3 because we're going to make Rune Chants. So this card's really good. The other 2 you don't care about because it's a solid block on 3, like easy, just 1 card block, and 2 feels real bad. Skip the Singeing Steel Blades. Spellblade Assault is an interesting one. Like the red Spellblade Assault is 2 for 4, and it creates 2 rune chants. The blue is like a 2 for 2, so it's kind of weird. Like the blue here versus the red. The red pushes the breakpoint of 4, and it creates 2 rune chants, but they are created on the back end, so you're not getting the value right away. Which means you're kind of sitting this out there. So unless this is either going to be played at the end of your turn, or you're going to do a trick with it where you get Go Again off of like an instant speed card that has Go Again, or you're going to Mauvrion into a Spellblade. If you Mauvrion into a Spellblade, you're going to need to pay for this as well. So you're like your 3-card hand would be like Spellblade, Mauvrion, and like a yellow or a blue to pay for a Spellblade. In which case, do you even have a follow-up? If you pitch a blue and you play Spellblade, then your follow-up would be the weapon, and that's actually really good. So that's worth considering. If you run the blue, you up your blue count, which is solid. You're attacking for 2. You don't really care about the attack itself. It always blocks 3 for both of these. You could always pitch this card away, whereas the red you can't necessarily pitch away. Do I want to be playing this as an attack? Either of these. I'm going to put like placeholder 1 and 1. Spellblade Strike's also interesting because it's like a 1 for 4 that creates 1 rune chant. So you look at both of these and you think, there's parity there, which is really intriguing. But I'm looking at this, if I pitch a blue, I can Mauvrion, Spellblade, and then Rosetta Thorn for 2 and 2. All with a 3-card hand. Or like this in Arsenal, or the Mauvrion in Arsenal, so that's pretty good. I think everyone includes 1 Vexing Malice, just for the 2 Arcane. And then I don't know if we want any of these. I guess technically we could run Command and Conquer, because that card's good, you guys. It's going to get reprinted. What do you think? It's totally going to get reprinted in Everfest, don't you think? I think it is. Enlightened Strike as well. And so now we're sitting at 18 attack actions. I guess technically we could up either of these and make it 20. What other attack actions have I not thought of? Exude Confidence. Exude Confidence is a good one. Exude Confidence, because we can just dump blues into it, or our red's getting kind of high. Where are we at? We're at 23 plus 23. So at this point, we don't actually have any defense reactions in the deck, and that makes some sense because hitting a defense reaction off of Sonata Arcanix feels really bad. Trust me, I know. It feels really bad. It feels really, really bad. So this ends up being less of like the super hard control OTK and more of a like the possibility in a slow matchup to just turtle up a little bit and make some rune chants. I don't know if that's good enough though. That's the thing, man. I don't know if it's good enough to thread the line of like it attacks for the Kano matchup, but it doesn't for... Can we rouse the Ancients in this deck? I don't know if we can actually rouse the ancients. Let's see. Average like cost of our hand, 6, 4. I think Dread Triptych here is really good. We have to think about this too. I will say this. Getting off of that, let's put the weapons in. You run the Reaping Blade for the OTK strategy, and you run the Rosetta Thorn for everything else, because this card is super good. And then as far as equipment is concerned, you run the Skeleta for the blocks and for the OTK strategy. You run the Grasp. You run the Spellbound Creepers because you can do crazy tricky stuff. Crown for Kano. You run Arcanite Skullcap for the Fridge block, because now we can block with every piece of equipment except the... Well, we can technically block with the legs too. What am I missing? The other pieces of Null Rune. Let's go add those. Null. The boots, the gloves, and the robe. I'm totally cool with running... 4 pieces of Null Rune. Crown plus the other 3 pieces. It is underrated to run 4 pieces of Arcane Barrier against a Kano. Underratedly good. And yes, we are over here, and that's because, let's see. We've got the, what, 2 plus 8 is 10, and then we got the 23. 20. Okay, so we have to figure out a way to cut some of these non-attacks down. We can cut chains. Yeah, that's easy. Done. No, that would be so simple. Cut chains and just call it a day. I would love to include... I have to figure out this too. Do we cut this? What are our pops for the Prism matchup? Our pops for the Prism matchup are just 4 cards. 5 if we count that. So we only have 5 pops for Prism. You worry about Herald of Erudition more than anything, and then you're comfortable with the rest about trying to block out. Probably. That's probably fine. 5. Maybe you cut this to go to 4. So if we're playing against Kano, we want to be able to apply this like weird type of pressure where we have go again strats with the Dread Triptych and the Rune Flash. We have big ol' attacks with Amplify and Command. Maybe we cut this Amplify, find something blue that we can run, like a blue attack. Nah, I like that it's attacking for 4. I don't think we need this. What are our 19 to 16? So we're doing okay. Yellows, other yellows. Vexings? No, not really. Any generics that work for us? Brandish is so cheesy. It's so funny. Coax. We'll include Coax a Commotion. That's what we'll do. Flock is Mimi. It doesn't really work for us. Nope. Promise of Plenty. Nope. It's not UPF. Oh man, what are we gonna do? I think maybe we just tap out there. I don't think we can run Rouse the Ancients. I don't think we have the attacks in hand to make that work. We would have to go bigger. And there are some options and things like that, but I don't think it's that super necessary. Zealous Belting's one of those that's interesting. I don't know if we have the, like yellow, for example, do we have the support for Zealous Belting? I can't collapse that. So Zealous Belting will get go again if you pitch something that has 4. No, I don't think we have the support for it. No, not really. Not really. Not really. Can I, like, add here? Oh, where'd it go? Can I add something here? And then cut here. What would I cut here? This is fetching for the OTK. I'm already down to 1. Oh, I can cut these 2. I don't like the 2 Read the Rune blues. Those can go. See, I would love to have like 19 or 18 non-attacks. That'd be nice. Well, yeah, something to that effect. If I wanted to go hard into the OTK strat, can I even do that anymore? Not really. Can I? I don't know. Hold on. What other non-attacks did I used to play? I'm trying to think about that. Play the Oaths. We have those. I played all of these. I actually cut one of these eventually. Sting of Sorcery, no. What did I play? Oh, I played Enchanting Melodies. Those never felt good, though. That was kind of a weird one. Tome. Yeah, we might be able to still just do the OTK. I think we're okay. Leaning in. Oh, you know what? I had defense reactions. I had the full suite of defense reactions. Should we water this down in order to get defense reactions? That was the thing. Because I played Reduced to Rune Chance, and those helped a ton. Like these. See, now at this point, now I still have to figure out a place to cut. And I think we're still in the 20... We have to cut 2 cards. If we cut 2 cards. The Whispers, no, that doesn't feel good. We're perfect. We're perfectly even, guys. What if we cut like a 1 and 1? What is our resource count? 21 to 14. Maybe I go this off and that up to 2 to balance out here. And then I have to make like a cut on an attack and a cut on a non-attack. That's tricky. Maybe I do 1 Exude. I want to keep this number high. I want to keep that as it is. I could go down to 1 Exude because it's a non-Rune Blade attack. If I go 1 Exude and then I cut something down here. Keep the Rune Blood Barrier. 1 Whisper, maybe? 1 Whisper. That cuts me a red and a blue as well. Yeah, I'll make that trade. So now we have 19, 19, and 2. So that gets us there. Do we need more defense reactions to play the OTK? Now, here's the thing. And this is why it's not very often done. The idea of creating a deck that can kind of thread both lines. Because you don't have the ability to sideboard out these defense reactions if we play a bunch of them. And because we can't sideboard them out, it's like we're less apt to actually put them in the deck because they get in the way of Sonata Arcanix. Because if we hit a defense reaction off Sonata, it doesn't count for anything. If we hit a non-attack, it counts towards the attack we could take into our hand. If we hit an attack, it counts towards the non-attacks that we're, like trying to balance out. So having this equal balance of non-attacks and attacks is really good, but the more defense reactions we include, the less the Sonata works. And maybe that's okay, I don't know. Maybe that's fine. But at the same time, we also have to think about that possibility of, like, if that's our ticket for OTK, we have to generate Rune Chance. We also have to play the Sonata for more damage. It's tricky. I feel like I would like the yellows as well. And if I had to cut something, I would want to cut, I don't know. Like the Ninth Blades feels a little fishy. I used to have Remembrances in this. It was an instant. I used to have, no. Maybe the Meet and Greet goes. No, I think it works. This is really good for this OTK, or sorry, the mid-range just pushing big attack strategy. All of this is. This may just be what it is. This may just have to be what it is. And then I'd include one more piece of equipment. It may just end up being that way. Something like Aether Ironweave. I don't know. You could throw the tunic in there, but I don't think you need the tunic. Hardened Cross Strap. You could do that, I guess. I think the Ironweave makes some sense. Gain 2 resources. Yeah, let's just do that. Make that the deck. So this is what you could do if you tried to thread the line between an OTK deck that had good matchups and a mid-range deck that had different good matchups, right? This is how you would try and tackle that. You'd have your 2 weapons, one for the OTK, one for the control side that plays against Ira, plays against Dorinthia, one for just about every other matchup that plays against, like, I don't know, your Chain, your Briar. Hopefully you can play against those. Maybe you actually try and block them out and make Giant Rune Chance, though. I'm not sure. And then plays against, what was I going to say, Oldham. Maybe you play the Rosetta Thorn. And then you have your equipment suite, where this is for your OTK. These are for your Kano matchup blocks on Arcane Barrier. Your Spellbound Creepers in this deck are really cool because they allow you to, as I open up, what happened there? Oh, it just looks horrible. Let me just go to grouping and try to hit it again. Nope, it's gone. It's exploded. If I zoom in, will that help? No, it's literally dead. It just doesn't want to have anything to do. Okay, there, I'll just do it this way. You can do some really cool things with Spellbound Creepers, where you Spellbound Creepers and play something like a Gorganian Tome. So you're ending up paying 1 for the Spellbound Creeper effect, but you're playing Gorganian Tome, and it's giving you Go Again and drawing you a card. You're doing it at instant speed, so it's basically refreshing your action point. So you can like Dread Triptych and then do one of these non-attacks with Go Again at instant speed and gain the resource back. So basically it ends up looking like Dread Triptych has Go Again. So if you go something like I don't know, Rune Flash with Go Again into Dread Triptych, and let's say you fired a Rune Chant with Rune Flash alongside of it, right? Because you paid for this like for less because you had Rune Chants. So this has the Go Again, then Dread Triptych, maybe that's your last attack, but then from hand you pitch and you play like a Mauvrion or something, and the Go Again just refreshes, and then you can come in with like another attack, or you can come in with you know, like your weapon. And that reminds me, Rattle Bones. That was the last thing that I kind of wanted to think about and mess around with, because it allows you to go fetch stuff. So maybe we do try to squeeze Rattle Bones in here, like a copy or two, a single copy maybe, and then we cut like one thing. One non-attack. You would cut one non-attack. And to cut a non-attack, maybe you cut the other Whisper. Maybe you cut the Whisper completely. Or you could cut... you could technically run one Sonata, and let that just be your piece that you try and find with Become the Arc-Knight. Or you can cut this Runeblood Barrier. That one feels a little bad. Cutting the Runeblood Barrier feels a little bit bad, but getting a Rattle Bones in is like super strong in mid-range. Super, super strong. You know what? And cut one Oath of the Arc-Knight. How does a blue count look? Eesh, a little high. Red count versus blue count, a little high. Oof. Oof. Okay, what if you don't cut that one? What if you cut a... Yeah, maybe you just make like this cut right there. You make one Sonata, you find the Sonata, it gets you your OTK, and if you just become the Arc-Knight to land it. I like that. I like that. That feels good. That feels better. I feel like we have something here. This would be interesting. I want someone to try this deck out. I'm going to try it out. Maybe I'll put it together and play it against like Kel or something, and see if this plays. See if this has the ability to kind of thread the needle and play both strategies at the same time. Again, it's not something that you normally see in Flesh and Blood and Blitz. It's one of those things where like maybe the format doesn't allow you to play a mid-range deck. But if you can play mid-range Viserai where it can teeter between these two strategies, perhaps this is a way to do it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you liked the thought processes that I went through. Maybe you learned something. If you did, feel free to do the like and the subscribe thing. I made this video so that you would enjoy it. Maybe you just like to sit back and watch decks be built, or maybe you just enjoy the strategy talk. I don't know, but leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you enjoyed about it. As always, everybody, thanks for watching.